Hello everyone. I just want to talk about the Circle of Willis today on the APR website. That'll be the best place to see it other than your lab or than your book, the McKinley book. It's going to be on page 62 in your lab manual, and it'll say Circle of Willis and Major Associated Arteries. It's number 8, and we're looking at A through H. So first of all, let's start with the vertebral arteries. So the Circle of Willis is this circle of vessels, and it's arteries, it's not veins, that will be supplying blood to your cerebrum. So first of all, you have these vertebral arteries. They were going through the transverse foramina of your cervical vertebra, and they'll go eventually alongside your brainstem and converge into a basilar artery right here. And this basilar artery will branch off laterally into the posterior cerebral arteries and branches, first of all, right here. See, basilar artery. One way would be the posterior cerebral artery on the, this is actually the right side of the brain, and then the left side here, another posterior cerebral artery. And then the other branch off the basilar artery is the posterior communicating arteries, and they're going to connect to this internal carotid artery. These are your internal carotid arteries. They've been cut in cross section here. Remember, they go through the carotid canal, the base of the skull. So let's look at that. Internal carotid arteries. Why am I not saying? There we go. It's them right there, going through the carotid canal. And they'll lead right into the middle cerebral arteries and its branches. And you can see all these cerebral arteries are going to branch out to the different lobes of the brain. For instance, this one does distributes blood to the lateral aspects of frontal, parietal, and temporal lobes of the cerebral cortex. And just like the posterior arteries are doing the same thing, but to the occipital lobes back here. This is all their branches back here, in between all the sulci. All right, so the next one is going to be the anterior cerebral arteries. As you can see, they're coming off the internal carotid as well, and they're going up through this longitudinal sulcus, and they'll have their own branching points, and they're going to distribute to the frontal lobe blood, and then they're going to connect as well through this anterior communicating artery. So this is connecting the two anterior cerebral arteries. And that will complete your Circle of Willis. And you can see it's kind of wrapped around the optic chiasm if you're trying to visualize where exactly it is. Yeah. Okay, so I also wanted to talk about another way that you can view the Circle of Willis. It's by using this 3D model here. So you just go to the cardiovascular section, go to 3D model. It'll load just like this, in which all you got to do is first, you have all these different components: skeletal, nervous, cardiovascular, and muscular. You want to move the skeletal components to this X eyeball thing, the hide option, move all the muscles, and then you're just left with this. And if you go to the optic chiasm right in the base of the cerebrum here, you'll see the Circle of Willis. So here we have the two vertebral arteries, and what's cool is you can see them traveling through the transverse foramina of the cervical vertebra. Then they come up here, form the basilar artery, and then move it like this, and you have the posterior cerebral arteries on either side, posterior communicating artery, internal carotid artery. You see, this is where it's going through the carotid canal, the base of the skull. Coming off that is the anterior cerebral. So let's remove the nervous components too. There we go. Here's the anterior cerebral arteries, both of them, and the anterior communicating artery, and it's also the same thing on this side. Yeah, so let's play around with this and see if this helps you. This is also useful for learning some of the nerves, and I'll talk about that in another video.